it's
Okay.
it's a technical challenge.
Good.
So listen, first of all, thank you so much, very much for joining us.
And welcome.
Welcome aboard. It's just great to have you. We're going to do a couple things today, and one of the things we're going to do, and where Cheryl and her family come in, is something we call Honor Thy Ancestor. And when we were writing our book Clandestine, we put out a call for friends and family and supporters to submit a name of an ancestor
Trying to connect, but go ahead.
that we could honor by using that ancestor's name as a fictional character in our book. Our book is full of, I don't know how many, couple
Go
hundred.
ahead, Damani, she'll catch up.
Y'all,
Hello.
Oh,
So,
yes, they are frozen.
yeah, you're kind of going in and out a little bit, Dad.
sorry about that. That's
There you go.
probably
You're
our
back.
probably our internet. So, yeah, let me ask everybody if you would mute yourselves, except you, Nandi, because you're up next, and that might help. I don't know, but in any case, so we issued a call while we were writing the book to friends and family and supporters, as I was saying, to allow us to honor one of their ancestors by naming a fictional character in the book for them. We knew we couldn't tell their ancestors' story, but we would encourage them to do that. But we hope that just by remembering that ancestor, uplifting them in our book, even if the character wasn't exactly like them, we tried to match up where we could some characteristics and from what people told us about their ancestor. And so we have about 50 ancestors whose names were submitted, and then that's on top of our ancestors that we included. So that was just great. The second part, and first part in terms of our presentation, has to do with Kwanzaa, and Ife is going to speak on, give you general information on Kwanzaa.
Yeah, well, like I said again, welcome all. We are so pleased to have you here, and thank you for taking time to be here. We really appreciate it. Kwanzaa was founded by Dr. Maulana Karinga in 1966, and it is a holiday that celebrates family, community, and culture, and begins on December the 26th of every year and ends on the first day of the next year, January 1st. Kwanzaa means first fruits and derives from the celebration of the first harvest in traditional African cultures. There are seven symbols of Kwanzaa, as well as 7 core principles.
So the 7 symbols of Kwanzaa are Mzoa, the crops, symbolic of the harvest, and Keka, the mat, which is symbolic for the tradition. And Alana Ron Karinga was very strong about the fact that our traditions are the foundation on which we build. So that's very important. The Kanara is the candle holder, symbolic of our roots. Mahindi is the corn. It's traditional to have 1 ear of corn on display. If we can do it, we'll show you our display. It's behind us here. It's traditional to have 1 ear of corn for each child in the family to represent the progeny. Kombe Cha Umoja is the unity cup. We used to pass the cup around before certain things started happening. The Mishima Saba, the 7 candles. They represent each of the principles. The black candle represents the first principle, unity, or umoja. And Zawadi are the gifts. And as I always say, when we were celebrating, we deviated a little bit from the tradition of giving the gifts on the last day. We gave our kids gifts every day of Kwanzaa. So,
The 7 principles of Kwanzaa are umoja, which means unity, kujichagulia, self-determination, ujima, collective work and responsibility, ujamaa, cooperative economics, nia is purpose, kaumba is creativity, and imani is faith. And the principle that we will be celebrating today is ujima.
So we're very happy and proud to have our granddaughter Nandi Anika Carson to do the presentation on, if I can do this, on Ujima today. So, you know, everybody's proud of their children and their grandchildren, but what can I say? We're just especially
We're
proud.
super proud.
Super proud. So Nandi's a senior at Spelman, where her mom also attended. She's been recently inducted into the Great Delta Sigma Theta sorority, Eta Kappa chapter. She's done a lot for a young person. She's really done a lot, and she's a former research assistant at Tufts University. And check out her independent research project title, Calculator Use and National Assessment of Educational Progress, Math Achievement Disparities in Race, School Lunch Eligibility, and the Use of Tutors. That's the kind of stuff I used to do when I was in college.
Right. Oh.
She's president of Value Voices, which is a nonprofit organization that provides supplementary health education to an elementary school in Atlanta, Georgia. And this right here is a loving creation that her grandmom, that she calls G, put together on her 13th birthday. And so you can see.
A little walk down memory lane.
Yeah, this is our, her mom calls her pumpkin. We kind of borrowed that too. So it's our pleasure to introduce Nandi, Anika Carson, to talk about Ujima.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm really surprised. I made my heart really warm. So I have a PowerPoint presentation. Let me see if I can.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me make you. I need to make you a co-host, Nandi.
Okay.
I meant to do that ahead of time, but you know my Swiss cheese memory. Technical skill.
Okay.
Okay, you're a co-host. There you go. Fantastic.
Okay, so let me present. Okay, so I will be talking about Ujima, which is the 3rd day of Kwanzaa. And like G said, it means collective work and responsibility. So this is a picture of me and my mom, and my dad was taking the picture, celebrating Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is something that, since I can remember, really, I've been celebrating with my family, and I'm just really glad to have that tradition in my life that I can continue. And I've been able to share it with my friends. Like, I invite my friends over for one day of Kwanzaa before COVID happened, of course, but just getting to share that message, and, you know, it's really exciting and really great. So, okay, so what does Ujima mean? So just doing a little bit of research, it's to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems, and to solve them together. So basically just a common goal that we all work together to fix, to help, to lift each other up, and we're in a union, in a community together as African people. So some main points that I'm gonna just touch on from the Kwanzaa website. So if you wanna keep reading, it's on there, kwanzaa.org. But the main points are active and informed togetherness, African freedom is indivisible, active cooperation, and the challenge of culture and history. And when I was doing some reading, I saw that this symbol kind of symbolizes Ujima. It's the Akoma Ntazo, if I said that right. And it's the Ndikra symbol of shared effort and obligation. And even looking at the symbol, it's like multiple parts coming together in one. So I thought that was really cool. So active and informed togetherness. So first, I saw a commitment to active and informed togetherness on matters of common interest. So again, coming together as one to fix a problem or to do something together. Something that really stood out to me was progress is impossible and liberation is unthinkable without collective work. So anything that is of significance in this world, we have to do together. There's no individuality as African people. Going on, African is not just an identity, but also a destiny and a duty or a responsibility. So I really liked this because it's not just, an identifier, but it's something that brings us together, something that brings us close, and it's something that we carry with us, and we have a responsibility to our people. We accept the fact that we are collectively responsible for our failures and setbacks, as well as our victories and achievements. So while we're doing this work together, we can mess up, we can have some setbacks, but that's a part of work. That's a part of getting to the victory, and we have to accept all that we do. Such a commitment implies and encourages a vigorous capacity for self-criticism and self-correction, which is indispensable to our strength, defense, and development as a people. That's very important too, because as we're doing this work, we're not free from criticism from ourselves, and that's the only way to have real progress. So very good points when I was reading.
Mhm.
So the second thing is African freedom is indivisible. So kind of like what I was saying before about African identity being a responsibility. So I read, as long as any African anywhere is oppressed, exploited, enslaved, or wounded in any way in her or his humanity, all African people are affected. So I think that kind of relates to the quote, like, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice anywhere, MLK Jr. So that's just very important. Like, everyone is included in this African identity, and we have to include the marginalized, the poor, all these people, because if anyone is suffering, we're all suffering. Okay, so rejects the possibility or desirability of individual freedom in any unfree context. Instead, it poses the need for struggle to create a context in which all can be free. So liberation for all or liberation for nobody, basically. And it also posits that the liberation struggle to rescue and reconstruct African history and humanity is a significant contribution to overall struggle for human liberation. So I think I'm also going to touch on that a little bit later too. But basically, because of the enslavement of our people, it's really important that we're like reconstructing our own narratives and our history. And we have a responsibility to do that as well as African people. So active cooperation. What one does to benefit others is at the same time a benefit to him or her. So like the quote, like, do unto others as you would do yourself. Kind of like anything that you do within our community is also what you're doing to yourself. So you have to care and love for one another as you would love for yourself. Thus being, this is important, this one is really important. Thus being quarrelsome or contentious is one of the worst offenses. So I'll touch on it a little bit later in my personal reflections of Ujima, just doing the work. Like, there are going to be conflicts, but we have to make sure that if we are, butting heads, it's for progress and not just infighting just to talk. So again, the fundamental objective in conflict is to reconcile the people. So you should be coming closer with any conflict that you have, not breaking each other down. And lastly, the challenge of culture and history. So I read both personal and collective work are fundamental activities by which we create ourselves, define and develop ourselves, and confirm ourselves. I thought that was really powerful. And like I said before, enslavement contributed to the erasure of many cultural achievements of our people, not necessarily that we didn't do them, but that nobody really credits us. And so we are responsible for reconstructing that history, retelling our stories, all of those great things of the achievements of our people, because we built this country, we built a lot of things. And again, work is needed to restore what was damaged and to raise up and reconstruct the ruins. And I liked the wording for the ruins because it was like kind of talking about like Egyptian history when I was reading it. So I thought that was interesting, but we have to build up the ruins. And then lastly, we are each cultural representatives of our people. So when you walk into a space, sorry, my dad is watching football downstairs. He's clapping really loud, so excuse him. But when we walk into a space, right, right. When we walk into a space, we're representing our people. And again, it relates back to that first point of responsibility and holding that close to us as African people. So I thought these were all really good points. And I was reading, I was really interested. So, okay, so personal reflections of Ujima. So I have 3 pictures here. Like G and Granddad first said, they kind of touched on some of my points, which is cool. But I personally am really interested in service to others, service to our community as African people, to the community, and to marginalized people. That's kind of what I want to do forever with my life. And I've had some great experiences, mostly through Spelman, through college, that I've gotten to experience Ujima through working together for a common goal and sisterhood in different aspects. So the picture that I have to the left is me at Valued Voices Incorporated. I'm president, and I think this picture we were doing a puberty workshop, and we gave them like little baggies of all the things that they needed. But basically, it's something that really gives me joy in making sure that I'm representing myself, my school, and my people, and basically allowing the girls to see that, like, yeah, like, come to Spelman, you know, what does a college educated person look like? Like, how does that work? And having those conversations, building those really genuine relationships with them is really important to me. In the middle, like G and Granddad said, I was honored with becoming a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So I have a picture of all my line sisters right in the middle. We're in like a collage. It was for our 1 month. But basically, in that organization, as we're planning these community events and using our voices for good, like I've really been able to experience Ujima in working together and having conflict and overcoming. That's what I was saying earlier, where I was like, it's very important that any conflict that we have is really for progress instead of just, you know, butting heads for no reason. And you know, in this, I have 33 sisters, so we all have different personalities, different ways that we're going to do things, but we have to come together to serve our community, and that's just what it is. And then the last picture here is just me and some of my Spelman sisters. So I think Ujima, I've also experienced Ujima in just the sisterhood of Spelman and like loving and caring for one another and just being together, and also being around like-minded young women who want to change the world. So Spelman's motto is a choice to change the world. And I think that that's really powerful because all of us really, you know, in different ways and very different ways, want to do amazing, permanent impact on this world. So yes, that is my presentation.
Wow, that was really good.
Thanks, Mom.
Wow.
But yeah, Ujima is really one of my favorite days. So yes.
I didn't see any of this ahead of time. I'm like, whoa, this is really, really good.
Excellent.
That's excellent.
Excellent.
Okay, Nandi, thank you so much, Sugar.
Yeah. Okay, now let me see how I get out of, hold on, y'all. Okay. How do I get out of the share screen?
At the top, it should say stop share.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah, okay, cool. Wow. So let me pause for a moment to just welcome everybody who joined us after we welcomed everybody previously. So I see some names on the screen. Yvonne, how are you? Omega, I know that's Wesley. How you doing, Wesley? Wilma, hello. Oscar was on before. Peter Marino, hello. Carla, Colleen, and Ellis the Third. Listen, welcome aboard, everybody. Welcome aboard. It's great. Okay, so listen. Next, we're going to have an excerpt from our book, Clandestine. Sometimes the excerpts relate to the principle of the day. This one, in some ways, does. but not particularly, or not primarily, I should say. We want to thank Nadine and her family for participating. And I just want to say, when you pick an excerpt out of a book, especially a book that's like ours, it's covers a lot of territory. It's not necessarily representative of the entire book. This particular scene involves some family trauma, but I want to say in the context of this excerpt that our book is really about uplifting African culture. It's about triumph, hard work,
resistance and resilience.
yes, and it's a love story. The whole thing is held together as a love story. So I'm going to introduce Nadine here. Hold on one second. Give me a. You can introduce Nadine. So Nadine, thank you very much again, and take it away.
Mama, what is it? What happened? It took a few minutes for Johnny May to regain her voice. Ngozi, my baby, Masabel done sold us, but he ain't selling your daddy. Letta had come too, after hearing her mother's cry, and heard only the last few words. He ain't selling your daddy. Disbelief in her ears. Then who's being sold? Massa done sold us to some people going to Louisiana. And he done leased your daddy to some low-class cracker, 2 counties yonder. He already gone. I just don't know what I'm gonna do. Mama, I'm so sorry, Letta cried out. I didn't mean for this to happen. I'm so sorry. Letta, this ain't your doing. You ain't made no decisions about this here. Your daddy did what he did for you, to protect you. It's not your failing. You understand me, baby girl? You ain't to blame. Steadying each other, they trotted towards the home. They went inside and closed the door to shut out well-meaning neighbors, intending to console them. Johnny May did accept some cornbread and a touch of light brown gravy that Auntie Agnes brought over. That was all they had to eat that night. None of them had the will to cook. They huddled together most of the evening, comforting each other.
Wow. Nadine, that was powerful. Powerful.
Who wrote that?
Oh. Wow. I'm almost. Well, for those of you who don't know, Nadine is Lee and Cheryl's daughter. And our next presentation will be by Dr. Cheryl Burton. Damani and I met Cheryl and Lee in 2006, believe it or not. Oh, that many years ago, during an event at the Alapa Convention Center in Panama. And through the years, we have developed a strong friendship, and now we claim each other as family, including Cheryl's 90-plus-year-old mother, who we are thrilled to have in attendance with us this evening. Lee, I'm going to have to go off script a little here and take a moment to say Lee has been very special to me from the first time I saw him interact with Cheryl's mother. The kind and loving way he treats and cares for her is so very, very special. Damani treated my mother the same way, so I know firsthand what a blessing that is. I just had to say that. Cheryl, Dr. Cheryl Burton has a saying that I love, and it is expect only good. And it describes Cheryl, who is a truly accomplished, dynamic, and compassionate woman. Describing only good, when you meet Cheryl, that's what you can expect. That's all, I mean, it's just unbelievable. Cheryl is the president and CEO of Cheryl A. Burton Consulting. She is an executive director, certified coach, trainer, and motivational speaker on the internationally renowned team of John C. Maxwell. She holds a bachelor's degree in psychology, a master's degree in counseling and social work, and a doctorate in social work. And Cheryl is the proud mother of Nadine and grandson, Makani.
That's all I got.
Yeah, there's another slide there with her. Of her, the grand.
I'm gonna put that up when she's talking.
Oh, okay.
See. So tell them. Okay.
Cheryl, so you're on now, expecting only good.
Yes, that's all we should expect. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And first, I want to direct some words to Nandi. That was wonderful, and I would expect no less from someone from the D9. Anybody from Zeta knows that. Okay. Okay, so I'm glad to see everyone on the line. Good afternoon. I am very thankful for all of you for answering the call to celebrate. I'm going to say my maternal grandmother, but it's her. She is the maternal grandmother of several who are on the line, my brothers and sisters, and certainly the great grandmother of Nadine and, well, not Nadine, Makani, and my other nephews in New York and also in Florida. So I thank you. Lucho is there also. Actually, Lucho is there in Panama with his dad. The name is Louis, and he is also proud to be here today. So I'm thankful for the opportunity to honor my grandmother, and really thankful to Damani and Ife. We do have a strong bond from that day that we bumped into each other at the Atlapa in Panama. And it was so good for them to hear someone speaking English. And we just became great friends since then. I'm very grateful to both of you for not thinking it robbery to find a way to honor some of our ancestors as you could have made this time only to spotlight on your ancestors. We're also indebted to both of you uh, as you help us to appreciate even more those who came before us by researching your history and their lives in order to help us feel more connected and appreciative of the resiliency that is in all of our DNAs as attributed to our ancestors. I want to acknowledge my mother, Iris Harrison, 98 years old and going strong. I call her my secretary because sometimes I say, "Ma, please remind me to da 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 da." She has a great memory, you know. Um, and this is her mother who we are honoring. I also want to honor my husband, also Lee, who is I can't say enough about him. He was very close to my grandmother too, and he was the only one of my boyfriends that she embraced. So he, he was special. Today we are represented here by four generations related to our honoree, and that's my brothers and sister and their family and their children's children. Affectionately known to the various generations. Before I go on, my cousins are here online also, and I thank you for being here. But affectionately known to the various generations as Mama, Grandma Harrison, Rhoda Rebecca Lane was born in Kingston, Jamaica, British West Indies on July 3rd, 1905, to Lillian Thompson and Joseph Lane. According to my mother, Rio in the family, she was not fond of her given name at birth and later took on the name of Agnes, which was given to her at her baptism. She had one sister, who we called Aunt Martha, who was several years older. She was educated in Jamaica.
Hello.
She was,
Yes. Tell me what's
can
going
you,
on.
can you move? Can you mute, please? Thank you. She was educated in Jamaica and was raised by her maternal grandmother, Rebecca Dean, after her mother left Jamaica for Panama. At the age of 16, Agnes left Jamaica, accompanied by her maternal grandmother, who joined her mother in Panama, where she resided for the rest of her years. That's a picture from the passport of Rebecca Dean, uh, my mother's grandmother, and my grandmother standing at the age of 16. This is a picture of the passport that they used to leave Jamaica to go to Panama. Agnes met Benjamin Harrison, son of Samuel Harrison and Jane Clark, natives of Barbados, shortly after arriving in Panama. They were married in May of 1923 and were the parents of Iris, Vincent, George, and Hugh, my mom being the oldest. Agnes was a true friend and always lent a helping hand where there was a need. So she took on 7-year-old Cyril Lawrence following the death of his mother, raising him, or his father. See, she just corrected me. It was the death of his father. Tell you she has a great memory.
Yeah.
And she raised him through high school and then took on Clara Hibbert, who also needed a home during her teens when her mother passed.
Right.
Got that one right. This is just one of the many acts that depict how Agnes embodied the principle of Ujima, collective work and responsibility, which is today's Kwanzaa principle in uplifting the community. Where there was a need, she filled it. Agnes was a very loving mother and well respected in her community. She volunteered as a civil defense helper during World War II and was very active in the life of her church. She was a very outspoken voice in the community as well as in church and never hesitated to challenge even the pastor if she determined that there was some injustice. She was also the secretary for her lodge, the Independent Order of Odd Fellows, for many years. She was adoring of her grandchildren and later her great grandchildren, never missing the opportunity to visit and spend time with them and with us, and was a strong supporter of our academic and professional achievements. Agnes worked as a domestic after her children were older and forged a long lasting relationship with her employer. She lived independently in the apartment which she shared with her husband of 31 years following his death in 1953 and continued her civic, fraternal, and religious duties. She loved soap operas and enjoyed long conversations, sometimes on a daily basis, with her daughter as they discussed the various episodes, General Hospital being one of them. Agnes had a can do spirit and met challenges head on, always being prayerful in making decisions and moving forward once she made a decision. This tenacity and determination was displayed in September of 1994 when she made the decision to give up her apartment and relocate an hour away to live with her daughter upon the death of my father, her son in law. This meant leaving her network of friends and activities that she had enjoyed so much to begin a new life with new surroundings, making new alliances, and of course, finding a new church. She was in her late 80s at that time. As I reflect on the generations in my family, I see where we all embody many of her values and as a result have been very successful in our own right with a can do spirit. And that's can do in all capital letters. That's in our family DNA. So I want to thank you, Ife and Damani, again for offering our family this opportunity to honor Agnes Rebecca Harrison.
Thank you. Oh,
that was just so wonderful. And thank you, Mom, for keeping Cheryl straight on the facts. Oh, listen, y'all have me just so emotional. Nadine, thank you. I mean, that was awesome. Are you on the stage or the screen?
Oh, thank you very much. First of all, it's a well-written piece, so I was pretty excited to do it, and I had to kind of listen to some of the old English language from back in the day to make sure that I had the twang right. But
you
did
good. You did good.
So thank you. That was
great.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah,
you know,
it really.
And of course, I had my husband listen to it, and so his ears perked up at cracker.
And just so you know, you said it right.
But I mean, no, it's a joke between us. It's
I know. Just so you know.
But I think when he heard it, when I was doing it, he was like, "Ooh." And I told my friend Esteban, I said, "Well, just come open-minded."
So just so you know, Nadine, you said it right. You didn't say cracker. You said cracker.
I said cracker.
Exactly correct. Oh my God.
But I have to say, my husband was my production assistant.
All right, very good.
He found the music for me.
Music was a great touch. It was a great touch. But seriously, you delivered that so beautifully. I had to look at Ife and ask, who wrote that? Who wrote that?
Thank you.
And Cheryl and Mom, thank you so much. What can we say? What can we say?
Well,
Nandi, thank you also very much, sweetie. As always, you did a fantastic job. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was great. But I gotta say, Damani and Ife, your writing is spectacular, and I know that you had some dramatic readings, which we were able to participate
Yeah.
in vivo in Panama,
Yes.
and hearing it then and hearing it now really was very moving.
Mm.
And so Nadine just capitalized on what the two of you did, because without that writing, we could not have had that emotional depiction of it today. So thank you very much, and thank you for inspiring us to look into our history also and to do that research, because we stand on the shoulders of giants.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So let me just throw the floor open for any other family members, first of all, to add any other comments or any questions from anybody about either the reading, the Agnes. There's another part of the book where Agnes, because Cheryl told us that Agnes was a very religious and spiritual
right.
person. There's another little snippet a bit later after this scene that Nadine read where she speaks to that. But any other questions or comments, anyone?
I'll just say it was a great job by everyone.
Thank you.
Nandi, Nadine, and Cheryl, all great performances.
Really?
Thank you very much.
Great presentations as well.
Yes.
I'd want to second that, and thank you, Nadine, for inviting me and for educating me, because I did not know exactly everything that what Kwanzaa meant. I mean, I knew that it was an African American celebration, but that as far as I knew. So thank you for inviting me. And where can I purchase a book that seems very interesting that I would like to read? The one that you had flashed on the screen.
We will. We didn't pay Esteban to ask that question.
Coming, Esteban.
Correct. It is on Amazon.
Amazon. Okay, great.
If you go to Amazon and put in clandestine, the title of the book is Clandestine:
Clandestine.
The Times and Secret Life of Mariah Odie Reddick, who was my great grandmother. We were inspired to write it after, actually, I'm still ashamed of this. For the first time in 2013, visiting my mom's hometown, Franklin, Tennessee, some of you will appreciate this, going to the Toussaint Louverture Cemetery in Franklin, Tennessee, that was started on January 1st, 1885, by 40 Black men, almost certainly including my great-grandfather Bowen. And we went there, we poured libation on the graves of my ancestors. And some other events happened while we were there, and we were inspired. We found Mariah had, I hope you all can appreciate this. Here's an enslaved Black woman, born in 1838 or 1832.
Which is more likely.
Who was given away as a wedding gift at 10 years old. Separated from her family, taken from Louisiana to Tennessee, who grows up to become a spy for the Union during the Civil War, according to family.
Damani, can you speak up just a bit?
I'm sorry. I
get that nice, sexy voice, but just.
I get deep in my emotions and my voice goes down. Thank you. So she's given away at 10 years old as a wedding gift, separated from her family, taken from Louisiana, right outside New Orleans, Terrebonne Parish, Ducros Plantation, and taken to Franklin, Tennessee. She grows up, according to family lore, she becomes a spy for the Union. This is verified. She worked in the home of Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy. And she's matched as an enslaved person. She has 8 children by her first, quote, husband, Harvey Odie. He passes away the month before her youngest child is born. After right at the end of the war, she goes back to Franklin, Tennessee. and marries again a man she met in Montgomery, Bolin, who later goes to jail. And I mean, it's just so much of a story. I won't tell you whether he was guilty, what he did, or anything. So Esteban, to answer your question, Amazon.com. Search for Clandestine, and our last name Keene, Keene. And
Actually, Nandi put the link in the chat.
okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you go in the chat, you'll see the direct link to it. And no, still questions and answers. So, you know, well, so, oh, it's not on the screen. Hold on a second, y'all. I thought I was sharing screen, but I wasn't. Hold on a second. Here we go. I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on one second. Here we go. I thought I was looking at it, so I thought you were looking at it too.
I did.
So, Clandestine, The Times, The Secret Life of Mariah Odie Reddick, a saga of resistance and resilience. I have to say this, I'm laughing because we started off to tell a simple family story, you know, and it evolved into a saga.
Yes.
And my wife teases me all the time. I say, well, that needs to be in the book. She said, everything can't be in the book.
That's for volume 2, right?
So just a bit of salesmanship here, just for 1 second. So the story sweeps across 3 continents and the Caribbean and covers portions of 3 centuries. It's really quite a story if I say so myself. So listen, back to questions and answers. Any questions, comments, or answers on Agnes, on reading, on Kwanzaa?
I just want to make a comment.
Yes.
In remembering Mrs. Harrison. I was always struck by how feisty she was, you know. She was really something, a short little lady, but oh, so proud and so kind of like flippant kind of a thing. She and my deceased husband had a little common bond. They loved pork. They loved pork. And you know, they would when we had family gathering, family picnics and stuff, they would get together and try to find where the bacon was or stuff like that. So that's something that I always remembered, because she was a little lady, but she was so feisty.
Yes.
She was incredible. That's what I remember about her.
Yes, yeah. And that just reminded me, Anna, when we were younger and she would visit, we would wait at the back door to see her come off the bus. And she had her little market basket with her. And guess what was always in that basket? Pork.
It's true.
Pork and vegetables.
Pork. The vegetables are to be cooked with the pork.
Right. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay.
Well, I wanted to say that, you know, as I think back, I just think of myself and Colleen and many of my cousins on the line. I mean, we've been very blessed, super blessed, to be able to say that we were able to meet our great grandmother and still have our grandmother, and that these matriarchs of the family have been here to meet our children. And so I think that we're in a very small group, because so many of the friends that I have, some of them haven't met their grandparents or knew their grandparents for a short time in their life. So because longevity kind of runs in our family, we've been very blessed. I mean, I had all of my grandparents up until I was 27 when I finished my graduate work. And you know, I remember coming back from the continent after being there in Africa for about a year and a half, and it was shortly after that that my grandfather passed, my mom's dad. And so that was the first loss in terms of the grandparents. But on Grandma Harrison, I mean, the fact that we were all able to know her and to see the legacy that she started. And, you know, I'm 53 now, and I still have my grandmother.
Yes.
And I was with my dad's dad the day that he passed. And I was just talking to Bruce and Makani about that this morning, because I was doing some digging through some boxes, and I found the funeral booklet that we did for Grandma Harrison's funeral. And I also found Hugh's obituary as well, Gigi's brother who passed. And so I sat and read it at breakfast this morning, and it just kind of made me a bit sentimental as I think of the legacy. And so yeah, I just wanted to offer that, because it's funny. I find the darndest things as I sift through these boxes of mine. And I even shared some things with my mom recently. So anyway, it's just great to be a part of the family that I'm part of, because I think we have such good people in the family, and we have such a long legacy of wonderful people that we stand on. So,
You know,
I think my husbands and I are blessed.
Yes, indeed. When Cheryl sent this picture of the passport, I wrote her back. I said, they look so dignified. I mean, really. What year is this, Cheryl?
This is 1921. 1921. Yeah.
It says April 22. It's stamped on there.
22, yeah. Right. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
And this was the passport that they got from the Jamaican consulate.
Right. Wow.
There's another picture that I sent you when she was an adult. Can you show that?
I don't have that. I'm sorry.
Oh, you don't have that? Okay, no problem.
Cheryl, the picture of your grandmother there looks just like you.
I know, yeah.
It does. It looks just like you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Not now, obviously.
Of course not. But the facial expression, to me, it looks just like you.
Yes, yes, yes. And I saw another picture of my mom recently, and that looks like her too.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
It's great that you have those photos. Fantastic.
It is. It is. You know, one of the things that I often think about is looking at different families. 1922 is the year that my great grandmother Mariah passed away. You know, you think about people who were alive, you know, during the same time period, whose paths never crossed, but whose experiences mirrored each other in one way or another. It's just so amazing.
Okay. Yeah, let me show you if you can see it. This is a picture of Agnes.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a picture of her when she was obviously an adult.
Oh wow.
And this is a picture of, guess what his name was? Benjamin Harrison. But he was not president.
I heard that, right? Go on, Mr. Harrison.
That's a dignified Bajan. That's a dignified Bajan man.
And then I'm just going to add, because Bruce brought it down, this is a picture of Gigi and Grandma Harrison standing together in Panama.
Wow.
And this is a picture that I have. And then here's a picture of them in my mom's home.
Wow.
After Grandma Harrison came to live with her.
Wow.
Wow.
That's just.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
That's
price,
Priceless.
I have all of these pictures that I just look at and I'm like, wow.
I know,
Right.
I know. So, you know, I'm
They,
very struck by what you said, Nadine, because I was unfortunately born after all of my grandparents had passed away. So I didn't know any of my grandparents. And so, of course, the other thing which hasn't been mentioned is that my dad was born in Kingston, Jamaica.
wow.
Came and lived in Panama for, we're not sure exactly how long, probably about 10 years before he went to the US, where decades later he met my mom. So there's a lot of connections here. So to think, and he lived in Cologne, and his sister Blanche lived in Cologne, and she had a dozen or more children who are my first cousins. I've never met any of them. So, so think about the fact that my relatives and your relatives walked the same streets, you know, went to the same church, shopped in the same store, maybe married each other for all we know. You know?
But an interesting thing, I was just telling my mom last night, my grandmother lived on the same building for many, many, many years. And that's the building that she lived in just before she went to live with my mom. And one of my cousins, Hugh, he took her apartment and still has her apartment to this day. And I was just saying to my mom last night, one of these days when we go back to Panama, we should go visit the apartment because there's such wonderful memories in that apartment, you know? And then the other thing that I found out last night, I was trying to remember the name of the lodge that my grandmother and Uncle Stanford, who is Anna's father, Anna, Money, and Bunny and Marva, who they were in this lodge, and I couldn't remember the name, so I called Marva, who is in Panama now visiting Bunny, and I said, Marva, what was the name of that lodge? And she said, I think it was Oddfellows. And she turned to Bunny, said, was it Oddfellows? Bunny said, yes. I said, was that the name of the chapter or was that the name of the organization itself? And she said, I don't know, call Anna. And I called Anna.
Wait a minute, how come I was the last one?
Because I thought they had better brains than you. Anyway, Anna said, yes, it was Oddfellows. So, but she couldn't answer the same question, but she did. So I Googled it and I found out, guess where that Oddfellow lodge started? At least the one in that she was involved with. It was started in Gorgona.
Yeah.
Which is where we have an apartment now.
Right.
And which is where Lewis is right now visiting.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's so
there was a
funny.
apartment place in Panama.
Yes, exactly.
It's like coming full circle. Look at that.
Wow.
Right, exactly.
That's amazing. That's
Oh,
amazing.
wow. This is really fun.
Okay, well, listen, we're on about an hour in, and we know you all have a lot of stuff to do today. We want to thank you so very much for coming and sharing with us. Everybody who participated just did a great job. The questions were great. The comments were great. It was all great. We will remind you that for those of you who are not familiar, that Dr. Cheryl is a great life coach, provides great services. Please check out her website, share it. She's on Facebook. Please be sure to go to Dr. Cheryl is on Facebook. Is that how it's listed?
On Facebook, it's Dr. Cheryl A. Burton Consulting, and on that's the Facebook, and the website is Dr. Cheryl Burton.
There you go. So recommend.
And let me just give you a quick plug. If you go on the website, or if you go on Facebook, there's the link to the website. And currently, through January 2nd, I have an Invest in Yourself holiday sale.
All right.
I have several webinars and services for 20% off using the code Fresh Start. And it's really to help you to begin to look at areas in your life where you might want to improve. It has information about letting go of your fears, stopping procrastination, stopping self-sabotage, getting to know what your personality style is and how it can help you communicate better with other people. So it's all through December of next year. So take a look at it, invest and share it with someone else if you think you have it all, which none of us do.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Please share.
Mr. Damani,
Yeah.
Bruce wants to know how he can get a copy of the recording because his parents weren't able to jump on.
Hopefully,
We've been having some
challenges, but we did actually end up finding them all. But we did start recording this at the beginning, so this should be full, and we will post the link to it.
Okay, thank you.
Have that by tomorrow, so we definitely will share that. Okay, y'all. Just one last plug, just to say that. Clandestine makes a great holiday gift for yourself or others. Share Dr. Cheryl's link with others and consider, if you would, purchasing Clandestine for yourself and others, members of your family and friends, and spread the word.
And the trailer.
And we have one
Really
last goodie for you, and I hope I can make this work for you. Where is it? Okay, let me give me just a second. I'm going to be with you in a moment. We're proud to say that this next thing you're going to see was produced by our son who's on the line, Khalid, and his son, our grandson, Kay.
Clandestine, The Times and Secret Life of Mariah O.T. Reddick is a new and exciting historical novel telling a story of intrigue and adventure centered around a love story. In 1848, Mariah, an enslaved 10-year-old black girl, is ripped from her mother's embrace as her sister screams in horror. Mariah is given away as a wedding gift and taken from Louisiana to Tennessee, never to see her family again. Clasping the amulet her mother fashioned and gave to her for protection and solace, she holds on to it and the African traditions passed down to her, including her secret African name, which means blessing. Mariah, haunted by a childhood betrayal of another enslaved girl, grows into a resistor of bondage and helps others escape slavery. Years later, while working in the household of the Confederacy's president, Jefferson Davis, she becomes a spy for the Union. A wounded Confederate officer catches her clandestinely passing military information to Union sympathizers in the rebel Army Hospital in 1863 in Montgomery, Alabama. Mariah faces either the gallows or whipping post, but defies the major when he detains and interrogates her. Her bravery and tenacity are sparked by the stories of her freedom-fighting ancestors, including her grandfather, who was a sharpshooter at African Fort with the Seminoles in Florida. After the U.S. Civil War, Mariah and her true love struggle against KKK violence during the era of Reconstruction while dealing with bitter political conflicts within the family. And they must thwart a traitorous colored blackmailer and abort the deadly plans of the same now badly crippled and deranged ex-Confederate Mariah had defied in the hospital, as well as his son, a fanatical deserter, both of whom are sworn to revenge. Mariah tempts fate more than once. Her world is one filled with love, danger, spirituality, vengeance, joy, grief, loyalty, devotion, resistance, and resilience. Clandestine, inspired by true events, is the story of Mariah's and her family's struggle for dignity and freedom, as told by her great-grandson Damani Keene and his wife Ife.
Nice. Nice.
Very nice.
Yep.
Very good.
Good.
Oh, co-produced by Khalid.
Whoops.
All right. So listen.
Very nice.
Thank you so very, very much. We really appreciate y'all joining us. It's been great. And it's so good to meet so many members of Cheryl and Lee's family.
Yes.
This is just a highlight. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you. And
Right.
Well
Thank
spent
you.
afternoon. Thank you,
Very nice.
everyone, for coming. Thank
Yes.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.